Good morning, everyone. Here is global news, and this is funny to me. I think stuff like this is hilarious, and it's funny because they just take their credibility and flush it down the toilet gleefully while telling you that it doesn't stink, right? So here's global news, and they're reporting a recent poll that was conducted found that only 16% of Canadians approved of President Trump's response to the COVID-19 crisis, the Chinese COVID-19 crisis. Do you approve of how Trump has handled the coronavirus pandemic? Read more. 70% said yes. Now, and 30% said no. And there's almost 40,000 votes and 8 hours left in the vote. So it's not finished. But you'd think if only 16% of Canadians who responded to their poll approved, they would have somewhat close. But no. And they're different. They have, in an Ipsos poll, it's weighted, right? So the poll has, so many people above 65 and the age of the respondent matters, et cetera. In a Twitter poll, it doesn't. So there are differences here. But at the same time, when you've got 16% approval and then, your online Twitter poll says 70% approval, that's kind of funny. Do you believe this? From April 8th. Approval of Prime Minister Premier soars amid coronavirus response, Ipsos poll. It's weighted. I wonder what the Twitter poll would say. As much as we complain about government in this country, the truth is when something like what we're seeing with the COVID-19 crisis happens, the universal institution of choice for people to turn to for help is the government, said Ipsos Public Affairs CEO Derail. Sure, Daryl. When governments actually deliver what it is they hope the governments are going to be able to deliver, the public responds positively. Ooh, have you got your prescribed amount of doublespeak today? Do you understand that word salad that he just said? Not surprising, nearly all, 97% of Liberals voters gave Trudeau top marks, but a majority of NDP voters, 71%, along with 54% of Bloc supporters also approve of the Prime Minister's performance. Just under half of the Conservative Party voters, 46%, say they approve of the way Trudeau is handling the situation. Garbage. And you know why that's garbage? Because Mr. Trudeau had military intelligence in January that told him of the potential for how bad this could be and the fact that he did nothing, including up till now still landing flights from China in major Canadian airports. So potentially landing asymptomatic sick people to go and start new clusters all in Canada while locking everyone in their homes. I don't think the approval ratings are nearly so high. I don't at all. So, global news is just getting worse and worse. It seems like lots and lots of propaganda. And it's not just me that's saying that this response has been absolutely abysmal, absolutely substandard. Look at that. This response makes me feel like Chrystia Freeland's face looks. Really? That's terrible. Oh my goodness. Who came up with that? Anyway, here is Senator Housakis, and he's asking Mr. Morneau what the government knew and why they did nothing in January when military intelligence and medical intelligence was talking about this as early as November of 2019. Why was nothing done? Why are we still landing planes from China today? Here we go.
This week we've seen several damning media reports outlining several failures to get a handle on this pandemic over the crucial early stages of the process. Your government continually defers to the experts and defending those early failures, but ultimately the decisions and responsibilities for those decisions always rest with Cabinet. I'm concerned about your government's reliance solely on Public Health Agency and not on the expertise of our Military Medical Intelligence Unit, who sounded the alarm way back in January. This unit relies on information not only from the World Health Organization, but also on intelligence shared amongst our Five Eye allies, including the U.S., whose intelligence was warning of this outbreak as far back as November 2019. So my question, Minister, to you is why did we rely on a body that appears only to be parroting the World Health Organization and information coming from Communist China and not on our military intelligence unit that was certainly providing a different picture if the Cabinet was willing to listen a few months ago?
I really like that the senator is calling out the government for parroting communist China. I thought this was a really hard-hitting question. Now we're going to look at Mr. Morneau's response. I got a phone call, so Sorry, it's happening. Anyway, we're going to look at Mr. Morneau's response, and I'm going to finish my phone call.
Well, thank you for the question. I can assure you that we have and will continue to consider all the sources of information that we have, and that will form our response. In our estimation, we need to continue to consider the science and the medical expertise here, and also look towards the examples of other countries and how they're dealing with this challenge, some of whom are ahead of us in the sense that they've already experienced a worse challenge, and we can get some value in considering what's worked and what's not worked. So we will consider all those sources of information, have done so, and I think it's important to do so.
So, again, the word salad in this government is offensive. Their lack of a plan is offensive. And the fact that they're saying, oh, we're going to look at all the things that we can look at and tap, tap, tap. They don't really answer the question, right? Like, you knew in November, why are you still refusing to act? Why are we still landing flights from China? And it just seems like everybody in this government just starts talking, and then they just talk away from whatever talking point or whatever question has been asked of them, right? Pierre Poilievre asked the same question. Who in cabinet and when did they see, who in cabinet saw it and when did they see the military intelligence report that's being referenced here? So how anybody could approve of this government, how anybody could, well, I think it's closer to that Twitter poll result, right? I don't approve of the government. It's just lies from the global news and the propaganda arm of our entertainment news industry, right? It's crazy. Moving on, Health Canada. Yesterday I was talking about a quick test that Health Canada was dragging their feet on approving, and 14 hours ago they approved it. Health Canada approves new rapid COVID testing kits. Health Canada has approved a new rapid test for COVID-19 that can produce results in under an hour, which is expected to alleviate the pressure on public health and laboratories and help circumvent testing kit shortages. Ottawa-based Spartan Bioscience received approval on the weekend and will be ready to start shipping tests for the federal and provincial governments as early as Monday, said Paul Lem, the company's chief executive officer. The company has contracts to produce rapid COVID-19 tests for the federal government, as well as Ontario, Quebec, and Alberta. Other provinces are also working on arrangements with the company, but they haven't been announced yet. Until now, all COVID-19 tests have been processed through large polymerase, excuse me if I got that wrong, chain reaction machines, but Spartan's test is processed through a handheld DNA analyzer, which allows hospitals and other institutions to test patients and receive results without having to send samples away to a provincial lab. If you live outside of a major city like Toronto or Montreal, this is what you're going to have to use, he said. Each handheld analyzer can process about 10 to 15 tests a day, Dr. Lem said. So at least they're no longer holding that up. Here's Dr. Jacobs. He says the tab so far for closing our economy is $73 billion. The cost of a mask for people in public spaces, 25 cents. Why is there resistance by Trump to acknowledge Taiwan's success with tight border controls and mask use? I mean, I think that he's focusing on the wrong thing here. It costs us nothing to stop flights from infected areas, and yet we still refuse to do so, and that's on Trudeau, right? It's not the premiers who control who can land in our provinces. It's the federal government who controls that, and Trudeau's refused to stop those flights from landing. And so, I mean, we continue to get potentially new clusters because potentially asymptomatic people are landing. And why are we tolerating this when our curve is very much lower than what the projections look like? Okay, here's the curve. So here's the Ontario confirmed ICU cases in the green. Best case scenario projections. Okay, worst case scenario. I don't know why the worst case is lower than the best case. And currently available capacity and expansion capacity. So it seems odd to be spending this much money and keeping everybody indoors potentially until July with no other plan to safely get down from the tree, to borrow Pierre Poilievre's analogy. It seems strange, right? Here is a healthcare the Humber River Hospital took a picture with a whole bunch of people who were not practicing physical distancing. You can see in the mirror. Oh, sorry, this is jumping around. Hold on. There we go. You can see in the mirror in the top left, people like just close on this side. Oh, sorry, it's jumping around. The fact that nobody in this hallway is wearing a mask. Imagine one person had a vaporizer, like a cigarette or a tobacco vaporizer. You would all smell it very quickly, wouldn't you? Right? Yes. And so that's why wearing masks is helpful. And it's interesting that not one person in this picture is wearing a mask. And also, they're in a hospital. And busy hospitals don't do this, not generally. So why is it happening when we should be in the middle of a pandemic? Moving on. CBC is reporting drive-in Easter Sunday service canceled after complaints to health officials. Nipawin Apostolic Church has wanted to try something different for its Easter Sunday service, a drive-in service in the same format as a drive-in movie or drive-in dinner, but the church has canceled the service after health officials complained about the event. They decided that it's classified as a mass gathering, said lead pastor Jordan Gadsby. He said the church did everything they could to follow correct provincial guidelines, including approving it with town administration, but Saskatchewan Health Authority was worried about the possibility of people seeing a friend and getting out of the vehicle. Public Health said they want people to stay home, Gadsby said. They don't want them going out to anything. Welcome to your nanny state? Don't believe me yet? Here we go. Remember this? How much do you think the fines were for this? You know, when people lit fires on railway tracks with police standing idly by saying, yeah, it's complicated. We can't really do much. But if you're out rollerblading, no phone anymore. If you're out rollerblading, it's an $880 fine, right? Oakville, Ontario family hit with $880 ticket after going rollerblading. And an Oakville, Ontario family is speaking out after rollerblading. A rollerblading outing turned into a costly ticket for allegedly violating COVID-19 physical distancing rules. On Friday, Todd Nelson took his sons Liam, Brandon, and Dustin to the parking lot of Glen Abbey Community Center to go rollerblading, he said. But after about 45 minutes, a bylaw officer pulled up and told them they had to go. I just said, who are we hurting? He said, oh, you're not going to be like that, are you? And I said, I'm just asking a question. Nelson said, and that was it. He said, give me your ID. And the next thing you know, we got a ticket. The ticket added up to $880 after surcharges. The alleged offense, violating the emergency order issued by the Ontario government that closed outdoor recreation areas to curb the spread of COVID-19. How dare you use that parking lot? You evil monster. You evil monster. But if you want to, light a fire right beside a train track, well, we can't really do anything, guys. It's very complicated, very, very complex situation. You don't want to tread on any, toes or anything like that. You don't want to make anybody mad, right? Here's Mark Saunders, the Toronto Police Chief. TPS Chief Mark Saunders says the police are moving to zero tolerance policy for physical distancing violators. Zero tolerance. You will be arrested. You will be ticketed for $1,000. Does it seem like maybe this has nothing to do with keeping us safe? Does it seem like maybe this has very little to do with the virus and a whole lot more to do with controlling people? Fines for rollerblading, but almost derail a train. Whew. Enforcement is our last option, right? Zero tolerance, citizen, pay your taxes. This is just disappointing to watch. Thanks for watching me. Check out CanadaPoly.com, check out CanadaReport.co, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.